Wildfires are tearing through Canada. As of June 5, 2025, there are approximately 203 active wildfires burning across Canada, with 102 classified as out of control, according to the Canadian Interagency Forest Fire Centre. From British Columbia to Manitoba, these fires have forced 25,000 residents to evacuate and are now impacting air quality across the United States. Smoke has drifted into northern Minnesota, Wisconsin, the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, and parts of the Northeast and Southeast, triggering air quality alerts in multiple states. The smoke is not containable. It goes where it goes, says Susan Annenberg, Chair of Environmental and Occupational Health at George Washington University, highlighting its far-reaching impact. The Air Quality Index, or AQI, in affected areas has spiked, with readings in places like New York City hitting unhealthy levels, with an AQI of 169 in past events. This poor air quality stems from fine particulate matter known as PM 2.5, tiny particles less than 2.5 micrometers wide, about 1/70th the width of a human hair. These particles, along with toxic chemicals like benzene, formaldehyde, and polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons, or PAHs, make wildfire smoke particularly dangerous. Wildfire smoke is quite a complex mixture, explains Dr. Vijay Limai, a climate and health scientist at the National Resources Defense Council. It's made up of fine particles and gases that can penetrate deeply and wreak havoc on the body. Unlike typical air pollution, wildfire smoke can be up to 10 times more harmful due to its unique chemical makeup, including metals and synthetic compounds from burned structures. Listen until the end for a list of health conditions made worse by wildfire. Wildfire health risks spike inflammation. The health risks are severe. Short-term exposure can cause coughing, wheezing, and eye irritation, while prolonged exposure is linked to heart attacks, strokes, and lung cancer. A 2021 California study found wildfire PM 2.5 caused more inflammation than other pollution sources. We breathe in smoke, and it gets into our bloodstream, says Dr. Neha Selenki, a pulmonologist at Cleveland Clinic. The particles stick, and the immune system activates, creating inflammation. Vulnerable groups like children, older adults, pregnant women, and those with asthma or heart conditions face heightened risks. For example, Chicago resident Maria Gonzalez shared, last summer, the smoke made my asthma so bad I couldn't leave the house for days. It was like breathing through a straw. Here's how to protect yourself from wildfire smoke. Experts recommend staying indoors with windows closed, using air conditioning, and employing portable air purifiers with HEPA filters, which can reduce indoor particle levels by up to 85% per the EPA. You want the biggest purifier you can afford, advises Dr. Barbara Mann, a pulmonologist at Mount Sinai. N95 respirators, when worn correctly, offer significant protection outdoors, unlike cloth or surgical masks, which fail to filter fine particles. The CDC cautions that N95s may not fit children and can be challenging for those with certain lung conditions. For those exposed, natural remedies may help detoxify the body. Dr. Lisa Nagy, an environmental medicine specialist, suggests hydration is key. Drink plenty of water to flush toxins. Antioxidant-rich foods like berries, leafy greens, and turmeric can combat inflammation. Herbal teas, such as nettle or dandelion, may support liver function, aiding detoxification. Read our step-by-step article on how to make dandelion gummies. I started drinking green tea and eating more kale after the smoke hit, says Minneapolis resident James Carter. It helped me feel less sluggish. While these remedies lack extensive research for wildfire smoke specifically, they align with general detoxification principles. As a mass of unexplained, fiercer wildfires occurs, the threat to air quality and public health grows. With no end in sight for Canada's wildfire season, proactive measures are essential to protect your health from this invisible threat. Here are a list of health conditions made worse by wildfire smoke. Exposure to wildfire smoke can make a range of health conditions worse due to its toxic components, particularly fine particulate matter, carbon monoxide, benzene, formaldehyde, and other volatile organic compounds. Asthma is made worse by wildfire smoke, especially PM 2.5, triggers asthma attacks by irritating airways, leading to wheezing, coughing, and shortness of breath. Studies show increased emergency department visits for asthma during wildfire events. For example, a California study found an 22% spike in respiratory issues during large wildfires. Chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, or COPD, is made worse by wildfire smoke. Smoke makes COPD symptoms worse, causing flare-ups that increase hospitalizations. The EPA notes that fine particles can worsen breathing difficulties in COPD patients. Bronchitis and respiratory infections is made worse by wildfire smoke. Smoke exposure increases the risk of bronchitis and pneumonia by suppressing lung macrophage function, making individuals more susceptible to infections. A study linked wildfire smoke to higher influenza cases post-exposure. Lung function decline is made worse by wildfire smoke. Even healthy individuals may experience temporary reductions in lung function and pulmonary inflammation from PM 2.5, with prolonged exposure potentially causing chronic issues in vulnerable groups. Heart disease is made worse by wildfire smoke. PM 2.5 and carbon monoxide reduce oxygen delivery, aggravating conditions like angina and increasing the risk of heart attacks or arrhythmias. Australian studies reported higher out-of-hospital cardiac arrests during wildfire events. Heart failure is made worse by wildfire smoke. The EPA highlights that wildfire smoke can exacerbate heart failure, particularly in older adults, due to systemic inflammation caused by particles entering the bloodstream. Hypertension or high blood pressure is made worse by wildfire smoke. The stress of smoke exposure can elevate blood pressure, worsening cardiovascular outcomes in those with pre-existing hypertension. Depression, anxiety, and mood disorders are made worse by wildfire smoke. A 2025 Harvard study found that an increase in wildfire-specific PM 2.5 was linked to more emergency department visits for mental health issues, including depression and anxiety, especially among women, children, and Black and Hispanic individuals. The smoke's physiological stress and inflammatory effects may directly worsen these conditions. Neurological disorders are made worse by wildfire smoke. Emerging evidence suggests wildfire smoke may increase the risk of dementia and other neurological conditions. A 2024 study reported a 21% higher odds of dementia diagnosis, increase in wildfire PM 2.5 concentration. Diabetes is made worse by wildfire smoke. Smoke exposure can worsen glycemic control in diabetic individuals, increasing cardiovascular risks. The American Lung Association notes diabetes as a condition aggravated by wildfire smoke. Cancer is made worse by wildfire smoke. Long-term exposure to PM 2.5 and chemicals like benzene in wildfire smoke is correlated with an increased risk of lung cancer and other cancers, though evidence is mixed. Valley fever or coccidioidomycosis is made worse by wildfire smoke. In California, large wildfires were linked to an 22% spike in invasive fungal infections like valley fever, which causes fatigue and lung damage. Prenatal and pediatric health is made worse by wildfire smoke. Pregnant women exposed to smoke face risks of reduced birth weight and preterm birth due to altered immune responses. Children may develop new allergies or chronic asthma from repeated exposure. Vulnerable populations are at a higher risk from wildfire smoke. Higher respiratory rates and developing lungs make children more susceptible to asthma, bronchitis, and emotional distress from smoke exposure. Increased prevalence of heart and lung diseases in those over 65 heightens risks of severe outcomes, including mortality. Low-income households, limited access to air conditioning, poor nutrition, or limited access to health care makes health impacts worse, particularly for respiratory and mental health conditions. In conclusion, with no end to the toxic smoke from Canada across the U.S., everyone should pay close attention to the amount of damaging smoke in their area and take measures to protect their health. Read the full article and a list of citations at nnbl.blog.